2010 World Cup runners-up, 2012 European Championships group stage crash out, 0 points. 2014 World Cup third place. Euro 2016 tournament that starts in just a couple of weeks, didn't even qualify. What is going on with the Netherlands? Here in this video, guys, I want to go over what's going on with the Dutch national side. Traditionally, one of the world's most classiest soccer nations, which has carried over from the Eredivisie in the Dutch league to the national team over the span of the last 30 to 40 years. The Netherlands is the nation that gave us total football and great football legends like Johan Cruyff, Neeskens, Ruud van Nistelrooy, Dennis Bergkamp, Ronald Koeman, Edgar Davids. But now, for the first time in a very long time, the Netherlands will not be playing in a major tournament, the European Championships, this summer, after failing to qualify in a group containing the Czech Republic, Iceland, Turkey, and Kazakhstan. I think what's important to go over is that when looking at the Dutch national side and the whole Dutch league, the Dutch system of football, ever since the 2010 World Cup, when they finished second place to Spain in South Africa, and Bert van Marwijk left the helm to go coach elsewhere overseas, I think, well, what we as fans bore witness to was a steady decline in Dutch football for a whole number of reasons. Aging of players, in combination with a league that just stagnated. Traditional European powerhouse clubs like Ajax and PSV Eindhoven just became second-tier backwatered teams within the UEFA Champions League, no longer going far in league tournaments. And Dutch football as a whole sort of, well, it lost the very essence of what made Dutch football unique from the rest of not just Europe, but in the entire footballing world. And they suffered the consequences of it just 2 years after finishing in silver at the World Cup in 2010, when they crashed out of the Poland and Ukraine held tournament of Euro 2012. They got 0 points. They lost to Denmark in the opening match, a match that they should have won. They lost to Portugal. They lost to Germany. 0 points. So then, after 2012, the Dutch realized they had a problem. So they brought in Louis van Gaal, who's now the coach, of course, of Manchester United, at the helm to get them back on their feet. And much to our surprise, with a Dutch team that had very low expectations but facing a lot of pressure to at least get out of the group and do better than their miserable performance in 2012, they surprised everyone by reaching the semifinals and finishing in third place in 2014. And not many people expected that to happen. I certainly didn't expect it to happen. One, because the group that they were in, they had Spain, if you guys remember. They had Spain, Chile, and Australia. That was a very, very difficult group. I remember at the time I thought Spain and Chile were going to advance. But they surprised Spain in the opening match by wiping them out 5-1. And from there, it was just a huge wave of momentum that pushed them into the semifinals, where they lost to Argentina on penalties. Arguably, they were the better team in that semifinal match, and they should have beaten Argentina to go to the final against Germany. But that's not how destiny would turn out. So, what happened? Why did they make it to the final in 2010, crash out in 2012, reach the semifinals in 2014, and then fail to qualify for 2016? If you were to put it on a chart, it's literally like up and down, up and down. So what's the cause of all this? And if 2012 was such a bad year, why did they bounce back and get the bronze medal in Brazil 2 summers ago? Well, I think the reason why they did reach the semifinals in Brazil was 100% due to a combination of Louis van Gaal's counter-attacking strategy, lunging the ball forward to Arjen Robben, and bunkering down in defense when he played the 5-3-2 formation. Louis van Gaal was very famous in that World Cup for playing the 5-3-2 for the Dutch, which really their whole gaming strategy for all 7 games they played was very defensive style of offense even, and lunging the ball forward whenever they could on the counterattack to Robin van Persie and Arjen Robben. So, I think that the Netherlands really got lucky in 2014. It was a combination of the right tactics and luck. Because in the round of 16 and in the quarterfinals, they played 2 CONCACAF sides, Mexico and Costa Rica, who, no disrespect to Mexico and Costa Rica, they're not powerhouses in world football. They're great teams. They are very great teams. But they're teams that the Netherlands historically should beat anyway. So they didn't really have a big match or stiff competition until they played Argentina in the semifinals. No disrespect to any of the teams that Holland played beforehand in the group stages, like I said with Spain, Chile, and Australia. But it was literally Louis van Gaal and pulling shit and all these tricks out of his sleeves that got them to the semifinals. It was not a demonstration of Dutch football heading right back into the correct direction that it needed to head in. I think the 2014 World Cup will be looked back on as mostly a moment of unconventional, not just luck, but an illusion, and which masqueraded most of Dutch football's problems. And unfortunately, those problems couldn't be hidden under the surface forever because we saw they failed to qualify for this summer's European Championship. Right when Louis van Gaal left at the end of the 2014 World Cup, and they brought in Danny Blind with assistant coach Ruud van Nistelrooy, the problems just kept popping up again. Their squad was aging, they had trouble scoring goals, they kept conceding, the defense was extremely leaky, they put on display the same strategic tactic problems that they had at Euro 2012, and it cost them at Euro 2016. They're not even going to be there, and it's a shame because I do believe Holland, despite the problems that they're going through right now, are one of the best 24 teams in Europe at the moment, but they're not going to be featured because they couldn't qualify. So, it's really disappointing because Dutch football right now is sort of in like a what I would call a midlife crisis mode, where they have to figure out the direction that their program is heading in. And it's not just a problem with the national team, it's a problem that's rooted in the domestic leagues, at the local level, the administrative, the KNVB, the Dutch Football Association, and it might take a while for the Netherlands to come back on top in European football to be one of the best nations again. Arjen Robben and Robin van Persie and Klaas-Jan Huntelaar, 3 of the team's veterans, they're not going to be there forever, guys. In fact, all of them are in their 30s. They're no longer going to be there in just a few more years. So the Dutch Football Association really has a lot of pressure to revamp its youth system in the same way that Germany had to revamp it back in the early 2000s. You know, Germany went through a similar problem. A lot of people don't remember this, but once Germany's golden generation started to fade out, once the Jurgen Klinsmanns of his day retired in the late 90s, Germany suffered at Euro 2000 and Euro 2004. They went through a period of stagnation, and they did end up finishing runners-up at the 2002 World Cup, but even they know that it was an illusion, because what brought them to the final was really Rudi Völler saving their asses and a combination of playing not so great opponents en route to the final. No offense to the United States and Paraguay and Cameroon and Saudi Arabia. Those are the teams they played. Not very stiff competition. So, you know, Germany didn't really pick up itself until the 2006 World Cup when they hosted. And for the last 8 years, well, the last 10 years now, it culminated with them completely fixing their domestic league and adopting one of the greatest scouting youth programs in all of Germany. And it resulted in them coming back strong in 2010 and in 2014 when they finally won the World Cup after 24 years. So I think what's going on with the Netherlands right now is similar to what Germany went through 10 years ago. And it's going on in another part of the world in South America with Brazil. Brazil's in a rebuilding phase now. But that's for another video. This video is focusing on the Dutch. So, a small footballing nation of only 6 million people that gave us total football, and the passing recently of Johan Cruyff, may he rest in peace. It's really unfortunate because it feels like a piece of footballing history, of legacy, has not died, but it's sort of withered away. And it's going to take some time to build that back up and for the Dutch to come back strong. And like I said earlier in this video, it has to be done at the local level too, not just the national team. So we as football fans, even if we're not Dutch fans, we should all hope that Holland builds itself and returns one day as one of the best teams in the world, because it's good for the sport of football. We miss you, Holland. We need you back. And, I mean, who knows? We're talking about this now, but maybe they'll win the World Cup in 2018. I mean, their tournament performances the last 8 years have been so inconsistent. They go far in a tournament, they crash out in the next one. They go far in the one after that, they don't even qualify for the one after that. So maybe Holland will come back strong, and we'll see them in a third consecutive semifinal in 2018 in Russia. Maybe they'll win it. But, you know, none of that's at all a guarantee. They have to make sure they get there. So I'm somebody who likes Dutch football. I don't follow Holland's national team on a regular basis, even though I do enjoy European football. But you always expect to see Holland make it to a World Cup. You always expect to see Holland make it to a European Championship. And to have them not make it this time, it's a loss. It's kind of sad. But, you know, I think we're going to see them back one day. This is not the end of the Netherlands. They have a lot of young talent that they produce through the Dutch League, but they just have to make better use of them and introduce them at the national level. And I think they can do that. And I think with the passing of Johan Cruyff a few weeks ago, we're entering sort of a new era of Dutch football where the KNVB really has to do some soul searching and figure out where they want to take this next generation of young Dutch players where they want to take them. Because if it doesn't work out, then all the hard work that people like Johan Cruyff sacrificed for Dutch football and for European football as a whole will just all go to waste and be in vain. So we'll just have to wait and see. So, as always, let me know your thoughts in the video in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, tell me what you think. Do you think the Netherlands will return one day as one of the greatest teams in the world? Do you think it will take a while? Or do you think that this just represents a new era in football where we're going to see the rise of new nations, of new superpowers, and the decline of others? So, as always, guys, thanks for watching, and peace out until my next video.